Gentlemen, your work for this week is going to be a relatively simple, I think, but it should be quite a fun thing. It's going to be a research-based project based on this article produced by Dr. Robert Goldman in 2016. Look at the year, and what obviously you'll need to do as well is to find out who Dr. Robert Goldman is. At the end of this article, there's some details about him, but you need, as I said to you before, if we're going to look at research, you need to find out how verifiable the person writing that research is. So what he's done is he's looked at various situations because technology's affected society and work and so on. So it's affected us hugely. And he's looked at future predictions. Now, looking at the top bit here, Kodak, you may know, used to produce cameras and actually produced all the photos that were being produced around the world when people used to send away for their pictures to be printed. People don't do that these days because of the advent of the digital camera. So life has changed. And in fact, you can see with the last paragraph there, it gives you an idea of some of the things that have changed: artificial intelligence, health, autonomous and electric cars, etc. And I'll go on to detail those further down this article. What I'm going to want you to do is to, one, verify the research, but two, come up with your own ideas. If I reflect back to the 1950s when everybody thought that we'd be driving flying cars by now, all that's changed, and it just goes to show that the future people predict is quite often not the future that actually happens. And technology changes all that moment by moment. So bear in mind that when you're reading through this and look at your ideas. Now, you can have an opinion about anything, and I don't mind that. What I want you to do, though, is if you have an opinion, be able to back it up with something. Okay, so read through this article carefully and write your own article either in support of or against some of the things that have been written here. So it says, for instance, about Uber and Airbnb. Now, as it says, Uber don't own any cars and Airbnb don't own any properties, but they obviously use people who do. Given the current situation at the moment, neither of them is in operation, so that must affect an awful lot of people hugely as far as income is concerned. AI, we've always said that AI is going to be one of the things that will, its development will change society further. And obviously with technology expanding exponentially, it's going to make a huge difference to how we use it. So please read through this bit carefully. You can see if you read through it here, there's no need for lawyers apparently. There's no point in training as a lawyer, and I'm sure some of you might be thinking about that. So be aware that when you're going through this, you're going to need to do your own research on this and chase facts. Don't chase hearsay. The section on autonomous cars here. Well, I know we had a brief chat about this in class about Google cars and so on, and there have been accidents and whatever. In fact, it doesn't actually mention drone technology in here, but it's something that's probably worth you looking at. And then remember, this is written in 2016. Now, I can't imagine that you lot think that you won't have a driving license, but read what it says. It's saying that in the future there'll be no need for driving licenses because no one will have cars. So read through it again. It means that if accidents are reduced, then life expectancy increases and so on and so forth. Read through all of this. So they hate Tesla. It's in fact the only thing that held back the development of electric cars was battery technology, and that's something that has accelerated in the last few years, something Tesla is at the forefront of. This is a big thing here about cheap electricity and abundant water. 7/8 of the world is covered in water, but most of it we can't drink. And so therefore, with an increasing population in the world, one of the big things that we need, either for growing food or just for people having available drinking water, are desalination plants. Now, if you can make them cheap enough, you can turn seawater into drinking water. But is that going to work? Have a look at that, and that's something that you can be using for this. It even says here about below that, looking at health, we have a home version of the tricorder that can work on your phone. Now, there are an awful lot of similar features that we can use, either on phones or other medical devices that we can use, that simplify the need for hospitalisation and so on, and the access to doctors. Have a look at that and see what things we can use. Either have a look at apps for your phone and things that can be used as reliable markers for what you would use in regard to your health. The next one on here is 3D printing. Now, again, even right now, our 3D printers are being used in order to produce visors, etc., for local national health employees. we've said that once the price of 3D printing comes down and the materials are cheaper, then you can make virtually anything by for cars, for planes, for anything else. You can make a 3D gun. It's just a matter of making sure that you look at how we can use that 3D technology to advance society. So have a look at that as well. Smartphones with 3D scanning, etc., business opportunities, things that have changed on here that are changing by the day. How will agriculture change? Because with more water, it's obviously easy to produce more farm goods and so on. Read through the rest of this, because it even says here Bitcoin will become mainstream technology this year, and that was in 2016. Lifespan increases according to your medical condition. So if we can improve that, people live longer. Is that going to be a good or a bad thing? Because obviously everyone wants to live as long as they can, but would you want to live a poor life within that, or can we make the quality of life good enough to make it worthwhile for a fair percentage of the population getting over 100? Now, you'll see at the bottom here, I want to know how it affects education, but also there are a series of things about Dr. Bob Goldman, who you will need to find out about. And remember, compare his research with others. Use any information that you can find on here and use it as a basis for your own Google Doc that I want you to produce in order to make sure that you can do some research that either supports or denies each section here. Because it's delineated pretty well into sections here, you can use that and write your own section about each one. I want you to get on with that. Now, when it comes to your lesson this week, we will be doing as a live lesson. In other words, I'll produce this and it will be scheduled to appear at your lesson time, but I will be available online, and obviously anyone else who is, we can have a little bit of a video chat if you want to just go through anything that's on there. Good luck with this, and make sure you're working hard at it. Ask any questions you feel you need to. Cheers.